Okay. Are you bringing the third guest as well, yeah? Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV. We're really thankful to John Smith there to join us. He was joining us live from Toronto in Canada. And as he said, if you want to get in touch with him and learn more about Harry Leslie Smith, you can get in touch on Harry's Last Stand on Twitter and sharing his story. Okay, as we said, we're going to be talking about what happened this previous weekend, about moon sighting, the issues around local moon sighting, how you can reject local sighting, global sighting, and will we always just get used to the idea that we're going to have different needs? Imad Ahmed is going to be joining us very, very shortly. Now, the new Crescent Society was set up to champion the concept of local moon sighting in the United Kingdom and ignoring falling Saudi Arabia and Morocco. The concept is a good one, which is, Islamic scholars say, is in line with the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which is to see them, attempt to see the moon, and if you don't see it, complete your 30 days, and then the following day, the start of your new Islamic month. But for opponents, it's another formula that leads to another different level of Eid, leading sometimes to 3 days Eid that have happened in recent years here in the UK. Is it possible to find a British solution to the moon wars? Now, we're going to have a discussion with my next guest. Firstly, Imad Ahmed. He's an authoritative voice in moon sighting. In the space of 10 years, he's firmly established local sighting as an important tool in the beginning and ending of each Islamic month. Now, Dr. Zahid Nawaz is a regular contributor to this program. He's deeply respected by all in all parts of the community for his work on moon sighting. He's a member of the Central Moon Sighting Board in the United Kingdom. He's the first person lots of Sunni ulama will go to get his thoughts and experiences on what has been happening. Now, we did invite Allama Rabbani, Ghulam Rabbani Afghani Sahib, Sheikh Luqmanavi, and colleagues from the Jamaat al-Sunnah UK who announced their Eid alongside Saudi Arabia to come, because they promised to have this discussion, but none of them were available to come on. Allama Rabbani is still in Pakistan, and the other two didn't respond at all. Now, the question we're asking is, will there ever be unity amongst British Muslims? Imad Ahmed is the chair and the founder of the New Crescent Society and lives in London. Dr. Zahid Nawaz doesn't need an introduction. He joins us from the great city of Birmingham. I'm pleased to say both men are joining us live now from London and Birmingham, respectively. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much for having us.
I mean, I've been waiting a while, and I'm really glad. Imad Ahmed, first to you. How are you? I know your health. You've suffered from long COVID. How is your health now, and how is the family?
Sad to say, I've been very ill for the last 2 years. I've been mainly bedbound. I've had to use a wheelchair ever since contracting COVID. And even today, I'm pretty unwell. But what has been amazing is our organization, New Crescent Society, even with me in bed for the last 2 years, alhamdulillah, every single month without fail, they've gone out to sight the moon. When I began, maybe 1 or 2 people were looking for the moon. Now, alhamdulillah, we have hundreds of moon sighters trained, able, with good expertise. And at the end of this month, inshallah, we will complete 6 years, that's 72 consecutive moon sightings, alhamdulillah, whether I'm ill or not.
And that's the amazing thing. That's the legacy that you've left. Obviously, you know, with your health, we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you a long life and gives you health. But wow, what a legacy to be proud of, my dear brother. We'll come back to you in a second. But first of all, Dr. Zahid Nawaz, what's your reaction to that Saudi announcement? And just briefly set out, what did the scientific data say about the moon sighted on the Sunday night?
Firstly, Brother Shafiq, thank you very much indeed for having myself and Brother Imad on your program. It's always a pleasure to be part of this discussion, which is very close to the hearts and minds of British Muslims in particular. You framed this conversation as moon wars. I would say there's lots of wars in this world already. We don't need any more wars. What we do need is more dialogue. So I would like to put some humor into this and say, let's have Jojo and no war. And I think that is the key to actually moving ahead on this. As far as the Saudi announcement is concerned, we have to be aware that the Saudi operate on a calendar. and their moon sighting criterion has evolved over three phases. The first one was up to the year 1419. Then it changed from 1420 to 1422. And now the current criterion started from 1423. And these are obviously the Islamic dates. In all of these criterions, actual moon sighting has not been involved. It's just the birth of the new moon, or now the birth of the new moon plus some form of positive lag time. As far as the visibility of the moon was concerned, there was no sighting, Brother Shafiq, of the crescent moon anywhere in Saudi Arabia. The biggest misconception which people have is that they just say that Saudi is looking at the horizon of Makkatul Mukarramah. That is absolutely false. Throughout Saudi Arabia, whether it was Dammam, whether it was Madinatul Munawwara, whether it was Qasim, Riyadh, Shakra, Sudair, Tabuk, Tumair, or even up to Najran. The reason I quote Najran because it has a lower latitude. Anywhere in Saudi Arabia, there was no actual moon sighting possible.
Okay, so
Our dispute is that when the announcement from Saudi is made, they state that the moon has actually been sighted when astronomically it was impossible to sight the crescent moon on the 29th of this month.
So that's the question I wanted to ask, is when the Saudi Ministry of Waqaf make their announcement that the moon has been sighted, they say it's based on actual sighting, whereas you saying it's based on the birth of the moon, but they also say it's on the actual sighting of the moon. How do you deal with that contradiction?
That is the discrepancy, that in an age where astronomical calculations are giving you the exact precise altitude, elongation, age of the moon, and although they cannot predict precisely when the moon, at what time it will be sighted, because there are lots of factors beyond astronomical calculations which are not included, such as atmospheric conditions, they can tell you whether the moon is visible or not visible. And based on that, all of the criterions present around the world on the prediction of the crescent all stated that the moon could not have been sighted in Saudi on the 29th of this Islamic month, the previous month.
Which is the previous month. Imad Ahmed, I mean, you obviously set up the New Crescent Society. Just set out for our viewers, why did you set it up and what did you want to achieve?
The New Crescent Society is an organization which celebrates the relationship between astronomy, Islam, and faith. Of course, in Islam, our prayer times are determined by the sun. Our months, as we are talking about, are determined by the moon. And in the past, Muslims used to use the stars. So we teach all of these things, and we work at the Royal Observatory, Greenwich, where we have a program. But very quickly, it was clear that our goal should be to work towards a united Islamic calendar, as there's such a dispute here in the UK. And actually, I was inspired by a trip to South Africa. And when I went to South Africa, I saw that they have moon sighting there. I had read about moon sighting in books, but I hadn't seen it really. But there in South Africa, I saw 4,000 to 5,000 people on the beach as one community look for a moon, and they saw the moon or they don't see the moon, but they celebrated Ramadan and Eid together. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. They are a Muslim minority just like us. They don't have a government managing their calendar just like us, but they have solved the issue. And with that in mind, I founded this organization to see if we can come to a resolution. And what I will say from the outset, we will never find unity if we proceed this as a debate around fiqh or law. Meaning, if I say, well, my position is better than yours, and you say, well, your position is haram, and we'll get nowhere. In Islam, there are many positions on how to manage a calendar. But I'll say to you, a calendar in a given community, by definition, is a consensus. We must all agree on the time and date together for this calendar to make sense. You and I have both agreed that today is I've forgotten today.
It's
I think
Wednesday. Yeah.
Today is Wednesday. It's an agreement. So a calendar, by definition, is an agreement. So we're here to say, let's step away from the fiqh for a moment. We accept all the ulama and all their fiqh position, but can we
But do you?
find a position where we can all have an agreement?
Okay.
And we think that is possible, definitely.
Let me ask you this again before we go back to Roger Zahid Nawaz. Is it you in the New Crescent Society introducing a third formula here, which creates another layer of division? Because you've got people who follow Saudi Arabia, people who follow Morocco, and now there's people who follow the New Crescent Society and local sighting. And therefore, there have been occasions where you've done a need 2 days after Saudi Arabia, a day after Morocco.
Sheikh, what I would say is our goal is not moon fighting, it's moon sighting. This division occurred before I was born. I cannot take responsibility for split Eids.
But you can take responsibility for the New Crescent Society introducing a new formula.
What we did initially, we didn't have a formula. We listened to mosques, we held conferences, and we realized that the position that everybody has an agreement with is the local sighting, because this was not a third position, this is the original position of the earliest companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and all Muslims across history until recently. So I wouldn't say we're a third position, we are the original position.
Oh, you've gone back to, sorry, can you just clarify that? You've gone back to the Sunnah. Is that what you're saying? Okay,
and indeed,
thank you.
when Muslims first came to the UK, they tried to conduct the Sunnah. But I've seen letters and fatwa saying, oh, it's so cloudy in the UK. Every month we look, we can't see the moon. So those early Muslims didn't believe they could conduct this Sunnah in the UK. But we found that when we work together, we can have a Sunnah local calendar. Okay. Sometimes it is cloudy in London, but you might see it in Wakefield. Sometimes you see it in Birmingham where
Cornwall, or Dorset and other parts of the country, John O'Goats.
We work together, we can have a perfectly functional
calendar.
Just like we have abroad.
And that calendar can be based on the astronomical data, but also based primarily on actual sighting of the moon. Raja Zahid Nawaz, do you think the ulama that you sit with, okay, we've got about 30 seconds. Can maybe, okay, we'll come, sorry, Dr. Ajahn, I don't want to interrupt you and give you 10 seconds and then we lose the power. I know you're going to stay with us. Imad, Ahmed, you're going to stay with us. And we're going to open the lines as well after the break on 01924231083. Joined by Imad Ahmed from the New Crescent Society, Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz from the Central Moon Sighting Board in Birmingham on New TV. We'll continue the conversation after the break. We'll take some of your comments and some of those Facebook comments are coming through as well. We'll be with you.
Appeal's emergency response campaign delivers 100% of its zakat, ensuring that we are always there when disaster strikes. Our 100% zakat donation policy ensured that when the floods hit Pakistan, Yusuf received the support when he most needed it through the provision of food packs, shelter and hygiene supplies. This Ramadan, give your zakat through Penny Appeal and guarantee that 100% of your donation reaches those most in need 100% of the time. Penny Appeal, small change, big difference.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq, exclusive on British Muslim TV. We were just talking about the moon. I've been told off by Qibla, Dr. Saab, not to call it moon wars. So, moon disagreements. Is that okay, Dr. Ajahn Nawaz Saab? Moon disagreements, does that sound better than moon wars?
I actually put some humor into it, but I think you failed on that account.
I need to keep up, my friend, with you. We're going to take a call and then come to you, Dr. Saab. We've got a caller, Azan, if your lines are open now, 01924231083 if you want to share your thoughts. And also we're on social media as well, British Muslim TV, comments coming through as well. We'll see if we can, how many we can get through. Let's go to line 1. Assalamu alaikum, you're live on British Muslim TV. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Let's go to line 1.
Can Can you turn your TV volume off, my brother?
I have.
Thank you, sir. What's your question you have, sir, or your comment?
So first of all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum
I've
salam.
been watching the show. It's really, really good. And I'm very thankful that I've had this opportunity to call in. And I'm quite curious about what Sheikh Imad Ahmed has said from the New Crescent Society, specifically on the fact that what he said is that in the early British Muslims that came, they weren't able to identify the moon due to clouds and so on. And now that it is possible, thanks to the New Crescent Society, that we can identify the moon, why then are we still disagreeing? If it's a valid sunnah, and if it is what the Prophet ﷺ did, and we are also able to do it today, why are we arguing about it?
It's a really good question, and I want to put it to you, Imad, if you allow me, Dr. Rajaz. No, I'll put it to both of you. There was a time when, there was no attempt through the 70s and 80s. Imad, what's your response to brother there? Early 80s, it was said it was too cloudy, moon cannot be sighted, so we follow the nearest Islamic country. And actually there was relative unity on following Morocco up until the point there was the issue around the fax machine and getting the data and getting the information. And that's when some of them broke off and started following Saudi Arabia. What's your answer to that question?
The brother is absolutely right. There is no reason we cannot have a united calendar. Just like they have in South Africa, I use them as an example because they're Muslim minorities, let alone Bangladesh, Morocco, even Saudi Arabia. There's no reason all of these countries I've mentioned, they base it on the sunnah of local moon sighting. But change takes time. I've been ill as well. And we have to go around and bring people on board. And if there's one thing I can request from the ulama watching, is we would love for you to sight the moon with us every month. You don't have to change your position. Just sight the moon so you get a bit of experience. Sometimes I find imams born here, for example, they've never seen the moon in their life. So there's an element of training, getting people on board, listening to people, and allowing them to trial the system. But from the kind of perspective, as the brother mentioned, from the sunnah, nobody says it's wrong. It is the original position, and it is a position that's being operationalized around the world today. So we can go to those countries, we can look how they do it, and learn from them too.
Rajaz Sahib, can I ask you the same question? You sit with many senior Sunni ulama. You're a member of the New TV moon sighting board. What's your reaction to that question from the brother around the switch? And are the ulama prepared to switch to local sighting away from Morocco?
I think there's a couple of points that you need to consider. My views are that the concept of pure local sighting is not alien to the UK. If we go back and academically assess, even up to the point of 1898, the first mosque in the United Kingdom, Liverpool, they did local sighting at the point that they went out, they sighted the moon, they saw the crescent, and to inform their congregation, they illuminated the streets of Liverpool. And this is documented, by the way, in a newsletter issued back on the 2nd of March, 1898, called The Crescent. And I have a copy of it in my hand, and I'm sure Brother Imad has already seen this. And I think what's happening now, that people are coming to the original idea that local sighting, and by local, I mean sighting the moon on the 28th, not an imported 29th, but a UK 29th. Because if you sight the moon on that 29th, you are very likely to see it or not to see it, which happens in any country.
Is this the
the moon.
Territorial boundaries of the United Kingdom only?
No, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Purely local 29th, and seeing the crescent or attempting to see the crescent on that particular date. I think what is required is a change of mindset, which is required of encouraging people to come out, especially the scholars, the ulama, to sight the crescent moon. And I think if our largest mosques, like the Regent's Park Mosque, take interest at this stage in this concept of local moon sighting, because the data is becoming very, very clear, and it's self-explanatory. To make wild statements that the moon cannot be sighted within the UK is absurd, because the data is telling a different story. However, unfortunately, within my circle of ulama and the people who I associate and who I try to advise, some of them have abandoned actual moon sighting completely and are portraying this idea of following astronomical calculations exclusively, which is completely alien to the entire Islamic history.
And which is a contradiction.
I have to add this because I want to make a contribution to your program. In the entire Islamic history, no Islamic scholar has advocated abandoning local sighting. No scientist, for that matter, has advocated abandoning local sighting. So the first person who advocated this in the entire Islamic history was a general known as General Johar under the Fatimid period. And he advocated this idea. Unfortunately, within the UK, we have 3 or 4 Joharians, and this is a new term which I've created. Joharians who follow not what's in the injunctions of Quran or Sunnah, but following a practice which a general under the Fatimid period actually instigated.
Okay, and we're going to take a call in a second, so there are callers waiting. So I just want to ask you this. Amongst the ulama that you sit with, on the new TV, for example, on Sunday, you made your official announcement of the fact that the moon wasn't seen in Morocco. Are those ulama, led by P. Nurul Arifin and many others, Sayyidul Zufrullah Shah Sahab, Allama Zafar Mahmood Farashvi Sahab, Allama Kamal Zaman Azmi Sahab, Mufti Shamsul Huda? I'm naming some of these ulama because these are some of the senior ulama amongst the Ahl Sunnah Brelvi school of thought. Are they, do you think in your discussions that they'd be willing to listen to Imad and look at the data and to stop following Morocco?
Right. The first part of the conversation, do they follow or do they practice local sighting? Categorically, yes. Because within our moon sighting criterion, the first clause, the first step needs to be taken is sight the moon on your horizon. If it is sighted, announce. Okay, there's no ifs or buts. So New Crescent Society, the work they are, excellent work they are doing and encouraging people to sight the crescent on the 29th, it's working, Brother Imad. So congratulations. It's happening. And the ulama are taking interest. We need more ulama to take interest. However, if the moon is not sighted on the local horizon, and I mean the UK, then the extent of the horizon is extended up to Morocco, or our time zone that has the news of the actual sighting of the crescent, not astronomical calculations, has that arrived through the methodology of istifada-e khabar, overwhelming news through the proper channels. Then our ulama say that we could accept that. However, as we progress along, if the data becomes so self-explanatory, which it is, that if you start sighting the moon repeatedly and within the 12 months of the Islamic calendar, the moon can be seen, or I'd say the crescent could be seen 6 times in the 12-month calendar, I think that would be sufficient enough to start encouraging our ulama that here's the viable option. But the mindset
has to change. And the reason I say that is because some of those ulama that I named said to me, there's no way we're going to stop following Morocco.
Because there's a fear. Because they start their count. It's the trigger point. They start their count of the month at the point at which Saudi announces. So they say, right, this is day 1. Then now comes Morocco, day 2. And then they unfortunately see the local sighting as day 3. And I think this calculation needs to come out of people's mind. And I give an example how.
We'll come to that.
Morocco has three countries around it: Algeria, Tunis, and Morocco. Morocco does not look towards Tunis or Algeria. They exclusively focus
their own
on
territorial
their own
and borders.
island.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Let me just take one very quick call, and then inshallah we'll come back to you, Imad, for your comments as well. I don't know, how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay to carry on?
I'm feeling great.
Okay, so we can carry on. We'll carry on for the next segment as well. Obviously, I'm really conscious of not doing anything to make your situation worse. So Imad's going to stay with us for the next segment as well. Let's go to the lines. We've got a brother on line 2. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, who's there? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Dr. Harun from
Dr. Harun from Leicester, did you say?
Manchester.
Manchester, sorry, my home city. Well, I should know that. How are you? What would you like to say, sir? Sorry, we've only got a couple of minutes before we go to our break.
I just, first of all, congratulate Muslim TV for this very enlightening program and the two speakers are totally conversant with what they are saying, because I have been involved in Manchester citing problem. My only very open, honest issue is this, that the people who follow a certain brand of Islam, they are so loyal to the Saudi moon sighting, they are hardly prepared to change. So I think Dr. Raja has in the last few minutes very clearly explained how it should work. We have to change the mindset. I totally agree, because I was involved.
Okay. Dr. Imad, I'm sorry, Dr. Harun, I think it is. Just stay. Actually, we just need to go for our break, sir. If you want to stay on the line, We'll take a break and we'll bring you back in, because I really think some really important points. We're going to continue this very important conversation with the one and only Imad Ahmed and Dr. Zahid Nawaz, and we'll take. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq. We were talking just before the break to Dr. Harun on the phone from Manchester. Dr. Harun, do you want to finish your point, please, sir? Dr. Harun, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah. Can you just finish your point briefly, sir? What's your point that you were making? You were talking about the Saudis in particular, weren't you? People who follow Saudi. Hello? Can you hear me, Mr. Harun? Okay, we'll sort that out and then we'll come back to you, Dr. Harun, in a second. Imad, I mean, we had Allama Ghulam Rabbani Afghani, who's a senior Sunni scholar, reputable scholar, widely respected amongst the British Muslim community. He was on my program in Ramadan and he made a claim that there is no scientific data and there is no evidence that the moon can be able to be seen in the UK. I then mentioned your organisation. Now that I've got you on in yourself, are you prepared to meet him and provide this evidence and have a dialogue to try to convince him to adopt your method of local sighting?
Of course I am. I've actually met him before, and I have a great deal of respect for all the ulama in the UK. I would say to anybody, let's move this particular individual, esteemed alim and individual, away from the conversation. All I will say is, our data, what is data? It means, can you see the moon in the UK? Yes, we can, and we've seen it for the last 6 years in a row. The data we do use sometimes is the data from Greenwich, which helps us ascertain if the moon sighting is accurate or not. And guess what? The data which emerges from Greenwich is exactly the same as our practical experience. So somebody is going to question us. You're questioning the most prestigious astronomy organization on the planet. A funny story, when I went to Morocco, I visited the moon sighting committee there. And do you know what they said to me? They said, Imad, it's so funny you're here. We use data to help us too from your country in Greenwich. We don't even know where you come. You got accurate data in the world. But ultimately, sighting is what determines the calendar. I'm happy to meet with him again. And I do believe my parting words with him were very, very good and cordial. And he said, you know, if everybody agrees to this, I won't stand in your way.
Yeah, and it's just that fear factor, isn't it? If you can convince the people who follow Saudi Arabia and people who follow Morocco, then you've got a potential agreement. Dr. Zahid Nawaz, in your knowledge and experience, can global sighting be accepted under the Hanafi fiqh?
Okay, very briefly, because I'm also very cautious of your time. This is an abstract idea.
Okay.
First point. This is misinterpreted in many ways, because how can we possibly acquire the actual news of actual moon sighting, and I emphasize actual moon sighting, news of actual moon sighting, not astronomical calculations, from one continent to another? In the world, a broad classification, we have 7 continents. So we being in Europe, how was it possible that if we attribute this to the Hanafi Fuqaha, that they understood this global moon sighting the way it is being cascaded now? So let us now geographically position those scholars. So Ibn Abidin, known as Imam Shami, for example, brother, if he was living in Damascus in the period of 1784 to 1836 and died at the age of 51 or 52, how was it possible for him living in Damascus to acquire the news of the actual sighting of the moon from Balkh, Bukhara, Azerbaijan, and the former states of the Soviet Union in Central Asia? Virtually impossible. That's the answer, because they are time zones and they have always been different, and we have to live in those time zones. And the concept of the sighting of the West is sufficient for the East. There is no other way to interpret and apply this other than to say that this is in one country. You could have a west and you could have an eastern direction in one country, or in nearest latitudes. That I could understand. But if you were to say to me that no, this means global sighting, i.e. from one continent to another continent, please tell me, how did the Fuqaha, how did these classical scholars actually implement this? How did they actually act upon this themselves?
So,
or were they preaching something for Brother Imad, Raja Zahid, and Mohammed Shafiq, which they themselves could not act upon? I can't believe they would do that.
Okay, and so Imad, let me ask you a similar question. Quite a few people on social media are asking this question. What's your message to our viewers? What in terms of your method of local sighting? Some people are saying goes against the sayings of Rasulullah, that when they got a sighting from somebody who came to Medina, he accepted the sighting from a distance away. So does your calculation need to be changed, that if you get a sighting from, I don't know, France or a nearest country, that you should accept it?
It's an amazing question, and I thank the viewers for asking such a question. I would say that a boundary has to be established, and that boundary is something which comes from the ulama and which comes from discussion with the community. And the discussion and consensus which has emerged is the UK. If suddenly, I don't know, King Charles invaded France, took over France, and then suddenly the Muslims in the UK decided that they were in brotherhood with the Muslims in France, I could see a case for it. But it doesn't appear to be the case right now. This is the position also operationalized today in Morocco, in Saudi, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei. So we have plenty of ulama globally who understand the notion of a local sighting. We're an island, and my goal is to make sure that all of us living on these isles are celebrating Ramadan, Eid, and every month on the same date. And I've never met anybody who disagrees with that.
Okay, we're going to go to the lines in a second. Manara Haq says, not just Saudi and Morocco people following, there's at least 10 different followings in the UK. I don't know what you mean by that, Shem Anara Haq. I think there are 3 calculations, aren't there? There is the Saudi method, there's the Morocco, South Africa method, and local sighting. But if you want to call it, 01924231083. And then Akhlaq.
But she's right. There's also the Joharian method, which has just recently come out.
Okay.
This is a very deep point she's making, because if you go into the communities, you'll find positions you've never heard of.
Yes.
And just mosques are following. So she's right. But in general, we can characterize most people as following Saudi or Morocco, and people who Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz is calling Joharians, I would characterize them as following Saudi, because if their calculation didn't match Saudi, they would follow Saudi.
Very true. Very,
and that
very
was one of the
true.
questions.
However, there is one distinction. Even Saudi Arabia does not advocate to abandon actual moon sighting. Whether it's a show, whether it happens, whether it doesn't happen, there is this center where they actually portray to sight the crescent. I don't know what they see, but they portray to see the crescent. So they haven't advocated abandoning actual moon sighting. What we are facing in the form of the Joharians is the whole notion abandon actual moon sighting
and
announce
calculation.
Before
I mean, that is certainly something which, sorry, and we're going to go to the lines in a second, but obviously, Akhlaq Abdul Razak says, I suppose it helps that the UK is a series of islands, so that gives a natural boundary for us in this country. Mohammed Khalik says, can we come into unity in our lifetimes? Another brother, Al-Nur, I think it is, says, why is it not just possible to follow Saudi as we will never have a united Eid? Are we not able to do that? Surely it will be better as we keep on having to have split Eids. And the sense, Dr. Zahid Nawaz, that you're saying that the Saudis will never announce before Maghrib. They will always wait to, you know, whatever, in your views, that you would say that they pretend to see the moon. They would say they actually see the moon. There's a debate to be had around that. But let's go to the lines again. Let's go back to line number 1. I think Dr. Haroon is back. His sound is better. Dr. Haroon, assalamu alaikum.
Yeah,
yes, what would you like to say?
No, I was already in conversation, but then the break came and then...
Yeah, you're live on air now, sir. You're talking to Mohammed Shafiq. You're live on air, so please go ahead. Tell us your comment.
My comment is, you know, as long as, you know, the people following, you know, certain brands...
Okay, you've got your TV on as well, sir, and that's why you're getting some confusion. If you switch your TV off, sound, please.
I am talking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, and I can hear you now better. Please carry on.
I just wanted to say, you know, we have to change, as Dr. Raja said, change mindset. I totally agree. I mean, both the points that Imad and Dr. Raja have said, and I would actually advocate this program should be broadcast every day until the day of Eid. So more and more people, you know, more discussion needs. People are not aware, you know, lots of the points that you have clarified. People are not aware. They just follow blindly a particular mosque. I don't want to give any names out, but people said, you know, if you follow the other Moroccan type, then your salary or your funding will stop. You know, these are very open facts which I am totally aware, and I have got proof in black and white.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Haroon.
So I would say we have to change. It will take few years in our lifetime, as we say. We have to educate people, make them understand the points that have been put across. And I would say,
Dr. Haroon, thank you so much. I'm sorry.
Every day on air
okay.
until the...
Thank you so much, Dr. Haroon. Apologies, I'm having to stop you, but we're just coming towards our next final break, and I wanted to give that time to our colleagues. Imad, I mean, have you interacted with the Regent's Park Mosque, the East London Mosque, the people? We've got about a minute until our break.
I've interacted with over 100 mosques, including the 2 mosques you've named, Regent's Park Mosque and East London Mosque. And they're very kind to me. They're very amenable. Those masjids, especially Regent's Park Mosque, come from a Medina University, a Salafi background. And they told me, in our own books, we find local sighting. And that's what they do in Saudi Arabia. But they said to me, Imad, go back to the country and get a few people, few hundred people maybe, on board with you, sighting the moon, and come back to us when you're stronger. We're already there now, alhamdulillah. However, with the help of ulama from the Ahl Sunnah community, the Deobandi community, who are already following Morocco, they are the most amenable because they know local sighting is the Sunnah position in their books too. I urge them to come and join us just to sight the moon with us. So when I go back to East London Mosque and Regent's Park Mosque, I can say, yes, Dr. Ahmed Dubian, you gave me advice to come back with 100 mosques. I've got it now. Yeah. So that is the next stage of our activity. Yeah. When I began, there was no moon sighting. Now we have moon sighting. Before there was no local sighting. Now we have local sighting. Now I want the mosques who are most friendly to us to join up just to trial it.
Okay. And try it. Imad, stay there. We're just going to go take our final break, I promise, and then we'll come back and try to look at some of the solutions as well and talk to Dr. Zahid Nawaz about the deep split amongst the Ahl Sunnah Barelvi community here in the United Kingdom, with some of them announcing Eid a day earlier. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq. Thank you so much, Dr. Harun. I wish I could come here every night and do this program on moon sighting in the run-up to Eid, but we do have other programs here at British Muslim TV. But there is a sense, Dr. Zahid Nawaz, these past few years, the Ahl Sunnah Barelvi community have been deeply divided. Allama Ghulam Rabbani Afghani and others have taken a different decision, which runs counter to what you and your board has been announcing. What's your reaction to that division amongst the Barelvis?
I think I don't want to mention any names or talk about personalities.
Sure.
The broad concept, the root cause is that there's a keen desire to follow Saudi, but they don't have the courage to actually mention Saudi by name. So now you have to think of an alternative model of how you actually meet the same date as the Saudi announcement. So some, one of the, I wouldn't even call it a school of thought, one thinking is that you live in the UK and then you announce 2 or 3 weeks early, simply based on astronomical calculations, and follow areas like South or North America. That's absurd. It doesn't make any sense. There's got no scientific rationalization. And I think one has to be bold enough to say that we follow Saudi Arabia instead of taking a cruise to Hawaii and California. I would love to go to Hawaii, but for other reasons, but not for the sighting of the crescent moon.
Okay. So we're also getting asked, Muhammad Usman Imad is saying, Saudi Arabia are using CCD technology to see the halal. What's your response to that?
We had a delegation go to Saudi Arabia this year. You can see them on Twitter. And they were with the moon sighters. And they said...
One group of the moon sighters.
They were with the group of moon sighters who saw the moon.
No, I know, but yeah, okay. With that actual group?
With that group.
Okay. Sorry, thank you.
We saw the moon sighters. They said, we've seen the moon with our eyes. And they said, but the rest of us couldn't see the moon. It was a scientifically impossible moon. If you go down the CCD route, you have to explain how have these moon sightings been coming from Saudi for the last 60 years before the technology was even invented.
What's CCD for our viewers' sake? Sorry, just explain.
Or astro cameras. It's a very powerful camera where you can add certain lenses and then you take hundreds of pictures at the same time. It's like an X-ray.
Okay.
It brings something which is not visible into visibility. But to all credit to Saudi, they say, don't follow us. What we do is for our kingdom. You should follow your own moon. And everybody, when we speak to them, they do agree that local sighting is the Sunnah position, but it's not been available in the UK in the past. It's only been available because recently of the moon sighters. So I would say whether they use CCD or astro cameras or whatever technology they use, as long as there's a group here following one country and a group following another country and one group following this country, that country, we're not going to have unity. We must return to the Sunnah. And if we want to follow Saudi, let's follow the Saudi advice. Follow our moon here in the British Isles.
Okay, and just one brief question to you before I go back to Ajaz Nawaz. What about the Shia community in this country? Because we don't often hear about their involvement, their conversations. What method do they follow?
The Shia community, just like the Sunni community, have different positions on how they should sight the moon, and that's related to their different marjas or their great ulama that they follow. I, alhamdulillah, also liaise with the Shia community. We will work with Sunnis and Shias. Good. We have Shia brothers and sisters who sight the moon with us as well. The moon is for everybody. It's not just for Muslims or Sunni or Shia, Barelvi, Deobandi. Allah created this moon for everybody. And we encourage us all to unite on looking at the moon on the 29th of every month, just as it was done at the time of the Prophet ﷺ and before. And before, because it says in the Quran, the day that Allah created the heavens and the earth, He created this calendar. It is an ancient calendar, and we are connecting to that celestial system Allah has created for us.
Raja Nawaz, you said you were very clear about, Allama Rabbani and others like him who've announced on the Sunday, Eid for the Wednesday. need to be brave enough to admit that they want to follow Saudi. But one of the other organizations amongst the Sunni Brelvi community is the Minhaj al-Quran. And they very clear, Shaykh al-Islam, Dr. Muhammad al-Qadi Sahib, who's been on my program a couple of times, his position is that you can go on calculation and that's acceptable. And they go on the birth of the moon and calculation and they don't wait for a sighting. What's your response to that, the criticism of that?
Yeah, first thing, on the issue of names, once again, the broad question without personalizing this, I think who you are attributing this to, they have not said abandon actual moon sighting. I haven't heard that.
Okay.
What they are saying is that there could be reliance on astronomical calculations that the moon is visible. They have not said that if the moon is visible anywhere around the world and you announced 2 or 3 weeks before, I haven't heard that from the personality that you are quoting. So it'll be inappropriate of me to comment on that. But the concept of just following the birth of the new moon, it's very clear that the month starts from the crescent, not at the point of the injunction. And the Quranic conjunction is Yas'alunaka anil ahilla. It is the crescent, not the conjunction of the moon, because you can't see, and Brother Imad, who's an expert, and I'm very pleased to be sharing this platform with him, no rational human being could ever claim that they actually saw the moon being born, because you can't see the moon being born. What you can actually see is the crescent. So the commandment to see is the crescent. It's not to see the conjunction. So the birth of the new moon, that can't be seen as the starting point for the start of the Islamic month. Astronomical calculations are and will always continue to be a secondary source to actual moon sighting. Unfortunately, what is being said by the Joharians is abandon actual moon sighting and replace it with the astronomical calculations, which, by the way, is an assumption. So at the point of the announcement, those who make a week before announcement or a day before, their whole basis is based on the assumption that the moon will be seen. Okay. There's a crucial difference between will be seen and has been seen.
There's a big difference between the two words, very important.
Absolutely.
So you have to see the moon. The moon, okay, and so that's interesting. Let's take one final call if we can tonight. Let's go to line number 1. Assalamu alaikum, you're live on British Muslim TV.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, brother. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Mohammed, and I'm calling from London.
Welcome, brother. What would you like to say?
Yeah, just a quick note on what's being said here. Things such as impossible sightings, etc., is what amplifies the fitna that we are facing within the community. And to take an example, NCS claim for Eid al-Fitr, or even before as well, they claim that the sightings were impossible. But if you were to research on the matter, you'd see that even in the Middle East, there was a professor called Jadel Qadi, who is the head of the biggest astronomy center in the Middle East, called the National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics, and that's based in Egypt. He said it was perfectly possible. It was during a live show, just like similar show to yours, and yeah, he said it was perfectly possible. And if you go back to even Ramadan 1440, for example, on moonsighting.com website, you'll see that there were several countries where it was claimed to be impossible to see the moon, but naked eye sighting occurred, like places such as Kerala and even Kenya as well. So what we need to kind of put our foot down is we need to actually get all the experts involved, not just experts on one side, to say that, hey, it's practically impossible, because what we are basing all these findings on, it's based on the data. and all the criterion that is being used, which is why you have different.
I'm just conscious, brother, we're running out of time as well. So just very quickly.
Yeah, so all the criterions that is being used, these criterions are based on observations which are made within a city, not like desert area, or even not where places where
okay, I'm going to stop you there, brother. Thank you so much. I really love to carry on the conversation with you. So if you stay on the,
I would love to answer that question.
I will, Imad, coming to you. If you stay on the phone, brother, and give me your number. Inshallah, we'll carry on the conversation off air. Imad, do you want to respond to that very quickly? We've got about a minute each.
The gentleman was questioning the astronomy, the science behind the movement of the moon, saying this is based on new data. And this is ancient knowledge, first and foremost. The astronomers around the world have done studies on Saudi Arabia's moon sighting, longitudinal studies, and shown the majority of the moon sightings do not match possibility. Even in my time, there's been times where the moon is below the horizon, and Saudi said, we've seen the moon, even though it's set. We can calculate the position of the moon to the second. Just because some people in this person or that person claims, well, we think we could have seen it. Some people who work for Saudi Arabia said, oh, we think we could have seen it. It doesn't take away from a science which is millennia old. And it annoys me sometimes. I say it with some strength in my voice. These people who come with these claims have no background in astronomy. We have people in our team with astrophysics, PhDs, Cambridge University, Greenwich. And I get somebody phoning up, I saw on this website, blah, blah. Please, brother, please respect the experts.
Okay.
But irrespective of that, even if Saudi were perfect, I would say by following any other country, Saudi, Morocco, we will not have unity. For the first time,
local sighting.
Local sighting possible in the UK, and I suggest we can...
Okay.
That.
Okay, Raja Zahid Nawaz, I've got about 20 seconds. Apologies, we're in the last 30 seconds of the program.
Yes, I think it's very important that the mindset changes, and any of the criterions that we have, I want to actually leave an evaluation framework. And I know that you will like this, Brother Shafiq, given your background, is that we have to have some kind of evaluation of what do we judge these criterions against. So number one, is it Sharia compliant? Number two, does it have...
Raja Zahid Nawaz, I'm going to share that with you, get a video from you, and we're going to share it on our social media. We've already run out of time. I've got less than 10 seconds. Thank you so much, Imad, Ahmed, and Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz. Also, thank you to John Smith. Thank you to my producer, Umar, and everybody else involved behind the scenes. See you very soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.